DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
You're tuned in to DJNTV Live with your host, Brian S. Red.
Now we are here. Now we are live. Now we're coming to your living rooms from around the world and all those happy places. It is Tuesday night, and Brian and John are back. We are really not going to be sharing anything too intellectually stimulating tonight, so if you need a nap, this is probably that time.
I missed you last week.
Yeah, I kind of missed the show as far as, you get to that point in the evening, even though you're in Vegas, and even though I'm with my lovely wife and we're doing things, it's like, this is our show time.
Yeah.
Of course, it was 9 o'clock Vegas time when I started to get this feeling and such, and it's like, wait a second, that's like...
Yeah, we were done already.
That would have been done and then, yeah. But times change, so yeah. So we missed last week, but you guys got to chat and have some fun with Howie.
Yeah. Now, John just said that if this is not going to be a very intellectually stimulating hour, but I disagree. I think there's going to be some good stuff here because we're going to talk about the events that each one of us did this last weekend.
Yeah, and some of those can be pretty good.
Yeah, there's going to be some stuff. Maybe I'll pick some stuff up from John, and I know John won't pick anything up from me because he's a pro.
Actually, you did the wedding, so we'll get to talk about weddings, and I had 2 homecoming dances, so we're going to get to kind of cover the gamut.
Oh, nice.
On our shows this weekend.
Nice gamut.
Yes,
I like that word.
Gamut. So tonight we're broadcasting. We're tri-casting. We're broadcasting out to Facebook, YouTube, and to Chew.tv. The Chew.tv channel is one that we're utilizing now as part of when we're doing our music shows. And next, tomorrow night, actually, we're going to be doing a 90s show, and it's only going to be broadcast on Chew TV because last night I did a 70s show. This is interesting, Brian. So I'm doing a 70s. I'm hooked up to Chew, and then I decided to try to hook up to YouTube, and I put it up to YouTube, and it's still in the preview mode, so I'm not even going live with it yet. And I get my first warning saying, we detected copyright material. Yeah, let's just push on through. So I made it go live, and a few people were bumping into the room and such as the pre-show was going. And then it says, "Oh, we're blocking your video because we're momentarily blocking your video because we detected content, copyright content."
They're hardcore, man.
They are. That we've not really, when we've done music shows, we've secondary streamed them to YouTube, and we've not had a problem. But they must have changed some things with their algorithms, and now they're catching that live stream, which is, that's okay. We'll do that because the Chew network, as of right now, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is basically a channel for DJs to transmit or broadcast their shows to DJs. So that's kind of what we are. We're either DJs or broadcasting to DJs. We're something like that. Something. So we're going to be utilizing that. And next week,
I can't believe you did a 70s show without me.
I wanted to. I did the fast version, and now next week I want to do the Brian Red version of it because I went through the hits, and now we're going to go through and I want to dig into, because you're, and I even talked about some of the songs that were Brian Red songs in last night's show, but your take and such, nice. you have a different style than, and granted we're both from the Midwest, but you've got a different flair and a different style and such, and I want to make sure.
Well, you got to remember in the 70s, I lived in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I lived in Richmond, Indiana when I was tiny, but from 1976 to 1980, I was an LA kid. So I probably do. And I had a lot of different influences. Even then, some people look at me funny when I talk about influences when I was that tiny, but music was the thing.
Yeah.
You had 4 channels on TV. Most of the time you're listening to music. They're blasting it next door at the pool parties. Your brother's cranking it up in his 55 Chevy Hot Rod. Your sister's cranking it up in her 72 Pinto. And it's all different stuff. And mom's playing stuff on the big console stereo while she's vacuuming. My other sister's, blasting Peter Frampton out of the speakers in her bedroom. So, yeah, I mean, there were so many cool influences. Plus, there was stuff that I just liked that nobody else really said anything about, but I liked it. I would buy these things. I would go to the drugstore and buy the 45s and such. So, yeah, and then there's stuff that I like to go back and listen to even now because I might have missed it the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather do that than to dive into 2 Chainz's new album. I'd rather go back and have a listen to something that happened that I missed the first time around that I might enjoy. So, because I'm old.
So as long as we're talking 70s music, we'll get to the weekend events, but this is how this
eventually
we'll get there. So Guardian of the Galaxy was a Brian Red recommendation.
Did you watch it?
I have. I've gone through, and so we do the first video, or watch the first one on a flight back and forth. So there's my lovely bride, and she's the whole week she's singing "Hooked on a Feeling."
Right?
I mean, it's like this earworm that she just couldn't get rid of, and she's in the bathroom fixing her hair, what have you, and I'm hearing
ooga ooga chaka,
exactly.
Ooga.
Oh,
I can hear Lori doing that too.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. So yes, now for those of you, if you haven't watched Guardian of the Galaxy, you must have been in my boat, which of course means it's not animated, although it was Disney. So it should have been on my radar.
Everything's Disney.
It should have been on my radar. But anyway, the soundtrack was fabulous. Now the second one, I don't know. Have you gotten a chance? Did you watch the second one?
Oh yeah.
Okay, the second one.
I preferred the second one.
Okay, I didn't spend as much time on the soundtrack with the second one as I did with the first one. This would explain though with the second one, specifically Looking Glass's song. Mm-hmm. Because that has been requested. It was requested this past weekend. See how we tied this into the last weekend's gig? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you were doing homecoming,
and it was by like 7th and 8th graders.
And they wanted to hear Brandy.
Yes.
That's right. It's all about pop culture. It's about what's familiar. It's not necessarily what's about new. It's about what's happening. And that song is happening right now. All those songs are happening right now because of the movie. Yeah. Now, James Gunn, the guy who directed these films, he wrote the screenplays and directed them. It's very cool what he did. And I think I discussed this on a show that we did earlier. But instead of writing a scene and then having somebody come in, like a musical director, and putting music to the scene, he would pick the music and then write the scene around it. So like a DJ, like a music video producer. Yeah. This is what James Gunn did. And you can tell.
Oh, you can.
And it makes it so good. And it makes the music even that much more appealing to, say, your high school kids that were requesting it this weekend. Because it's done right. It's not just, I think, Hearts Barracuda would work well in this scene that was already shot. No, you wrote it all around. Okay, here's the song. I'm going to write a scene around it. That is cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody else who's done that in film.
And done it successfully. I mean, maybe it's been done here and there. I mean, I could see, such as Napoleon Dynamite, there's a couple of scenes where the song was, but not like this
Not like that. Though.
No.
Not like that. That was just
So then
neat.
After that, I got into a Chris Pratt, because he's the star of...
Right.
And
I got to see everything else this guy did, because
exactly.
He's not ringing a bell.
It's like, well, what else? And then I went to Magnificent Seven was the next one.
Yeah, that was good.
And that was good. And then, so I hey, Magnificent, you get to the end of it, it's like, wait a second, there was some so then I had to go back and watch the whole movie a second time, like back to back. And I've never done this before, watching a movie back to back. But it was actually a good enough movie where it was really, almost better the second time when you know it. So that's my kick right now is I've got to find another movie that Chris is in.
He's got he's got one of those faces that is generic until you watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Then you know, okay, that guy. I know who that guy is. And then you start recognizing him in other films. He's that guy. He doesn't jump out at you right away. Some actors or actresses, when you see him, you're like, like Angelina Jolie. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen her face before. Chris Pratt is just a nice looking guy that could be any nice looking guy. He's just kind of generic nice looking.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Brad Pitt couldn't do it, so we'll get Chris Pratt to do it, kind of thing. Just generic Brad Pitt. Maybe we'll call him. But yeah.
Yeah, so
it was really interesting to go through and see who this guy really was, see him do drama, and watch for kind of his characters. Jokes even in Magnificent Seven, they were subtle, but they were there because that's the kind of actor he is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's his delivery.
Yeah.
He was also in that movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but they're on a shuttle to a distant planet, and he wakes up the girl from
I remember seeing some previews on that. I'll have to go.
I can't remember the name of it. And the girl, I can't remember her name either. She was in those Divergent movies. And when she screams, her voice always cracks, and that drives me crazy. Wasn't it Jennifer Lawrence?
It could have been. I think so. It was someone.
Jennifer Lawrence. When she screams with and I just want to just turn the TV down whenever she gets excited. Because it's like a pubescent, scream of horror or something. I just can't stand it. But yeah, she was in it and he was in it. And I think Simon Pegg turned up as a robotic bartender, and Lawrence Fishburne turned up in it as well. So like 4 actors in the whole body of the film.
Oh wow, yeah.
But he was good in that too, at any rate.
That'll be my next, where I go to next. So let's dive in. Let's talk about this past weekend. I had 2 homecoming dances. And there's a few songs that I want to spotlight from those dances that were surprises to me. So I wanted to cover that a little bit, and then
Brandy being one of them.
Brandy was one, yeah. But that was after seeing Guardian of the Galaxy. I expected actually both Hooked on a Feeling and Brandy to be requested. And when I didn't get Blue Suede requested, I was like, oh. Because I was going to drop just the beginning and such and get into another song and then come back and get the refrain and then back out of it. I had kind of a game plan for that one.
Yeah, and believe me, I've got some as well. I mean, there are songs that I cannot wait for people to start asking for. And I'm not doing enough events. I'm doing like one a week. So I'm not doing like this massive amount of events. I'm doing heavy stuff like weddings. I'm not doing just silly stuff. Although next weekend I'm doing silly stuff. I'm not even sure what I'm doing. It's an 1.5-hour gig. But usually at a wedding, there's like a plan. And if you screw one thing up, it's like, maybe you really broke the continuity of the evening at the wrong time and give people an excuse to exit. I need one of those gigs where it doesn't matter. I can play whatever. And then I can play some of those cool songs that I'm thinking about too. I totally interrupted you, John. I'm so sorry.
That's good. That's kind of my schedule for the next couple. I've got, after we travel to Louisville next week, then I've got a wedding, and then I've got one of those at the end of the month there, a Halloween party at a local bar. That
perfect.
They wanted me last year. It was like, can you? And it's like, dude, I'm going to be just coming out of one of the surgeries. There's no way I can.
Right.
I think they were walking me around town with my cane and such last Halloween. Can you see where you're going? No. Is there candy? Okay, then I'm okay with it. Give me candy. So give us a little overview. What did you have on your itinerary from this past weekend?
Oh yeah, it was a wedding reception, and with a ceremony, and it was at this place called Old World, Wisconsin, which used to be in a forest, and it's all these old buildings from the 1800s. From Wisconsin. Some of them were there originally. Some of them were actually moved there from other locations. And they have people there who were like, it's kind of like almost like a Renaissance fair in a way, where they have like a blacksmith and they have just people there who represent people from way back when in Wisconsin, these little villages. It's kind of a cool place, historical site. But what happened was a tornado went through this place, I don't know, a few years ago, and tore out a lot of the big old majestic pine trees that were there. and a lot of them happen around this octagon or hexagon barn thing. And when the trees were gone, what they decided to do was go ahead and do like outdoor weddings there because there was room. So that was the plan: an outdoor ceremony and an indoor reception was the plan. However, we had rain. The other thing is I got a busted ankle, so in a historical building like that, I'm not going to do real well hauling in equipment.
Yeah.
So I brought my daughter in, and she was cool. She can do that, and it wasn't too far from my parents' house either, so it wasn't real inconvenient for her. She got me in, set up, and got me out, which was amazing.
Nice.
It's a little payback for raising her. Thank you. Finally getting something out of this deal. A lot of money. Stuff's expensive. If you've ever done it, I'm telling you, it costs money. But yeah, it was good. Let's see, what can I tell you about the ceremony? I did a gig log on it, and the officiant, very nice gentleman. Of course, I give him a wireless microphone to do his service ceremony or whatever, wedding ceremony, I guess. Sound checked it. It all sounded really good. But, although it was raining outside, it was very hot. It got very humid in that barn, especially with all the bodies in there. So the hall had these large, like industrial fans you'd see like in a shop.
Yeah.
Like if you went to, I don't know, like a mechanic shop or something, and they got these big metal fans going. They had like 4 of them around the room going during the ceremony in a very echoey hexagon barn, which is kind of loud.
Oh yeah, I think so. Those big barn fans. They do hum.
Yeah, so it was pretty loud in there. So no one's speaking except for our officiant on the microphone. And I don't want to give him any more gain than I have because I don't want to risk feedback during someone's wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
But I wish I could have given him more gain because, he's not somebody who's using a microphone all the time. I told him what he needed to do, get it close, but sometimes he got a little far away from it. I was behind the speakers. I think the audience heard everything fine because I was watching the crowd responses because he would make little jokes or say something that, would maybe prompt someone to nod their head or say amen or whatever. Everyone was doing it in the room.
Good.
So it's not like they didn't hear him. The crowd was my cue as to whether or not they could hear him or not. They did, but that was a little challenging for the ceremony. We were cramped. I had to kind of squeeze in. But yeah, that kicks off what happened at my wedding this week.
So now that was the
ceremony.
Dance and such in the same area? Or was it like the ceremony in one part of the barn?
Yeah. Of course, we were supposed to be outdoor for ceremony, indoor for reception. I was so cramped setting up indoors that I had to really squeeze back in this corner. And it was in front of an exit, which made me uncomfortable. The first thing I said was, ooh, setting up in front of an exit. And that's when the person pointed out to me that 3 of their exits in this rather small barn. It's not like they're going to, it's not like it's a real safety hazard. There's plenty of ways to get out of this place. Clearly marked exits. Plus the whole wall opened up. You know how that does on a barn?
Yeah.
The barn doors, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they were open. So I really wasn't sweating that too much. A lot of people said something in the comment section of the photo I posted on Facebook. And yeah, valid point, but I wasn't trying to be irresponsible and set up in front of an exit. I just didn't have the choice.
Right.
And I think sometimes when you're put in that situation, you can question it if you're careful about it. But if that's kind of always what they do and they have plans and they, what are you going to do? Refuse to set up? Because it's if there's nowhere else for you to be, what are you going to do? That's tough,
Oh, for sure.
So I just set up. What was cool about it though, I was using the Pro Event table.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up, the reason I bring it up today is because it was the perfect size for that corner. If I would have had a 6-foot banquet in there, I would have been too long to fit, or I would have to have gone in at a very awkward angle. So the Pro Event table really kind of did save the day on that setup. The length and the 2 feet depth is big on that because Like, there's fast set out there and they're cool, but they're 18 inches deep.
Yeah.
And that's not deep enough for me.
Yeah, for sure. My fast set is actually set up just on the other side as a staging table. And I've tried it a couple of times when I put my coffin or the big case on there for the 7000, and it's just not quite big enough for what I'm doing. I'd rather have that 24-inch table.
Yeah, 24. Yeah. Standard, like banquet depth.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a really nice design on that event table, pro event table. And you figure 4 feet long, and if you've got two sides that fold in equally, that's going to be 24. So it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The height's wonderful. No back strain on that. I love that part. It cuts way down on my fatigue. When I'm on the computer trying to type something, if I'm on a standard banquet table, even with the crane stand and the mixer I have and all, I'm bending over a bit. There's a little slight bend, and that works on a guy after a while.
Oh, it does.
So having that table height and that table width was great. I really am happy that that's what I brought. A lot of people were like, no, you can't use that for a wedding. Sure you can.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you can use it for a wedding.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a wedding dress, okay? Which a lot of setups kind of do.
Sometimes.
But you can definitely use it for a wedding. And to those people out there who say, well, it doesn't look elegant enough for a wedding, I ask you this. Have you seen a wedding band lately?
It looks like 5 photographers throwing their gear into the corners, and
yes,
it's like
I've never seen a neat, clean setup for a wedding band. Never in my life.
Nope.
Or a live musician, period, unless it's like a concert.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, you see stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really do appreciate everybody's goal of having a neat, clean setup. I think that's what everyone should strive to have. But I think sometimes you take it a little too far.
Yeah, very much so.
That's just me.
Yeah, some people may get a little bit beyond. We talked a little bit about this last night. Is for the average end user, they're more interested in having a good experience, and they're not going to care if that one wire is not tucked or this or that, the other thing. They're looking for good quality music. Can they understand the microphone? Will they enjoy that experience? And I don't think too many people are going to be bent out of shape and say, "Oh, the music, these are my favorite songs, but that wire, if that wire would be tucked, I'd be enjoying myself. But that wire, I'm not enjoying myself."
It's the extremes, because I've seen pictures where people have critiqued something that I've done,
mm-hmm.
and then I'm always curious. Whenever somebody says something about me, I'm always curious as to what they're doing, and I don't say anything about it, but I just want to see. Okay, you don't like what I did? Let's see what you did. I remember this one guy said something about my table or something. This was a couple months ago, and how it didn't look nice or neat or clean. And I looked at his picture on Facebook, and
mm-hmm.
he's standing in front of his equipment, and it looked really nice. He had a facade and scrims on the speaker and all this. Behind him, he had a light tree with wires just hanging off of it. Like no effort was put into this at all to just tidy that up a little bit, I'm thinking, oh, okay. I didn't say anything to him, but I'm thinking to myself, who's calling the kettle black here? And I think what it really has to do with a band or a DJ is just, make every reasonable effort you can make to make it look neat. Mm-hmm. If you can. And I'm talking about a reasonable effort. I'm not talking about a 6-foot white glowing facade. I mean, that's a nice thing to do, but not everybody is going to be able to do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's too much. And the more and more I see those, they're starting to remind me of something that, like the Munchkins from The Wizard of Oz, like what they were undressing behind doing costume changes on the set of The Wizard of Oz. They look like the partitions, like in the James Bond movies when he's in the bedroom and the girl throws the, her dress or whatever over the top of it. The little part. That's what they remind me of. They don't look like DJ. They look like something you undress behind if you're really short.
A little changing booth there.
Yeah, they're like a little changing booth, not a DJ booth.
Why do I feel the urge to take my clothes off when I'm behind my booth? I don't know.
How he says, yeah, but I love that. That's my thing. I got a bunch of yeah buts out there because I'll make suggestions on how to do things or whatever, and there's always somebody who says, yeah, but, and they'll come up with an excuse to talk themselves out of it. Mm. Howie and I call those people the yeah buts.
Yeah buts, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a little private joke there, but I'm done with that rant. I want to hear more about your homecomings.
Well, you mentioned fatigue, and that was actually one of my big concerns because first off, we came back from Las Vegas. We land on Thursdays. Wednesday night late. Thursday is chaos with our local newspaper things, and the world basically stops except for that. So I was going to be running and such, and then Friday's the first show. I was concerned about, truthfully, how I was going to be, my legs were going to be, and my feet being on that cement floor. And, all week I was on the Las Vegas, 3 days on the convention floor down in Vegas. And it's like, oh my gosh. So this was, it was very intentional in making sure that I brought some of those anti-fatigue mats for behind the DJ booth. And oh my gosh, I was so happy that I did that because I would, even at a wedding, I forgot it. Oh, goodness gracious, a month and a half back. But I was on a wood floor, kind of like a gymnasium floor. I thought, oh, this probably won't be too bad. The day after, it's just, it wasn't that your legs just feel like mush. It was just being prepared, knowing it was the 2 shows and making sure I took care of that to have those things with. So for those of you watching it, if you're not wearing decent shoes, which I also had, and getting some kind of a fatigue mat to put on the ground behind your booth, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I know we've talked about this many times before, but after last weekend, come Sunday, it's like the kids are like, hey, let's go for a walk or bike ride. I don't remember what Alyssa wanted to do. It's like, yeah, no problem. There have been times after a wedding, just doing one show. It's like come Sunday, it's like, yeah, no, this lower legs just hurt so much. I'm not going to go very far today.
I need a recovery day.
Yeah. So that was a positive. On a side note, but
no, that's a good thing to talk about because we're talking about the fatigue these gigs. What I do, I don't use the anti-fatigue mat just simply because it's a bit cumbersome for me and I might trip over it eventually. But I do wear insoles. I wear the Dr. Scholl's insoles. I don't know if you do that or not.
Yep, I've got some some inserts into the shoes. All of my shoes now that I picked up off Amazon. And those help because as I'm getting older, they tell me that my arches are falling. Yay! I can't see arches are falling.
I got arches. Like if I were a chick, I could wear heels. I could rock some heels. I got arches. But what I found is, and I take this for what it's worth, I've bought the expensive, arch supports.
Yeah.
And insoles before. The gels, the cheapo, like around under $20 gels from Dr. Scholl's are much more comfortable to me. Much more comfortable. The cheap ones, not the expensive stuff, not the custom ones. The cheap ones to me rock. And that's just me. And I can't, if I buy a new pair of shoes and I don't put a pair of those in there, I can tell after 6 hours that I need something else in there. It makes all the world of difference. But the expensive stuff doesn't work for me, Yeah.
Yeah, the ones I found in Specialized here, the Superfeet, and they've got different colors. I think they've got orange, green, and black. And I picked up 2 different colors, and the black is one I prefer. And I've just really, they're $30 for a pair, so it's not like they're breaking the bank. Not like the ones you get from the chiropractor, which are very nice ones. Those were the first ones I got, but I think I paid like $70 for them. Well, sir, these are going to be able to do everything you've ever wanted. And you'll be able to dance on the moon, and you'll be able to go and be smarter, and you're going to be able to talk better, and you'll be able to, yeah, okay.
And you're going to make a 85% hit on these.
Yeah, precisely. Here's my $70, and they were good. And it was a nice way to get kind of into those. And then I had some custom ones made that I went to the podiatrist or whatever the person. I don't know what the word. And they went and did the impression and did that, and then they give you the ceramic shape of your foot, and you're like, ew, what do I do with this? They're like, well, hang on to it because you never know if you want to have some more made. There's the model. So you're like, okay, and you put it, take the plastic bag and you put it on the shelf, and then you come back a month later, and because of the bacteria and the mold and everything, it's like, oh, bad idea, bad idea.
Take care of your feet.
Yeah, that's the important part. Take care of your feet. Take care of your legs.
However you got to do it, do it. Try some different stuff. If one thing, maybe you don't feel like it's working very well for you, try something else. Because, I found the formula that works for me.
Yeah, precisely.
And I can take it everywhere I go.
Yeah, and that really, really helps. No, I wasn't a gynecologist. That's a different
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was in the car business. Totally off subject. We had a guy from Romania that came to work at the car, selling cars.
Mm-hmm.
And his name was Horatio. Of course, we called him Fellatio. That was just funny. And you're already laughing. So this is good. And he was learning English as he went. He was a hell of a sales guy. But he would tell stories like, and I was doing this thing, and I bumped my what is this called? What is this? It's your clitoris. Oh, I bumped my clitoris on the damn the table, and then we screwed him all up. Oh, it was so much fun.
And he's at a bar, and then I bumped my clitoris, and they're like, dude.
Yeah. The best was when he was talking about he lived in a town called Kenosha, which is kind of on the Wisconsin-Illinois border. You're familiar with?
Yes. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's on the lake, and that's where Horatio lived. He had such a heavy Romanian accent. It was so funny. So he would say, you should come to Kenosha. In Kenosha, we all have our own beach. We lay on the beach. We go to the beach. We eat on the beach. We love the beach. Of course, beach sounds like something else, and that's just a riot. That was funny to hear.
Yes.
May not translate very well otherwise, but we had a lot of fun with Horatio. Nice guy. Anyway, I regress. So tell me, aside from the fatigue part of your homecomings, and you mentioned the surprise songs, the surprise requests. And you mentioned that Brandy may have been one of them.
Brandy was one. That was
what was
one.
The other one?
The other big one that was actually requested at both dances, and kind of preface the crowds that I had. I had Friday night was a smaller school. There were probably 150 kids, but they were maybe 175, but they were from grade 7 on up. So for the first hour, I had all the kids there, and then the older kids leave about 10:30. So from 9 to about 10:30, I had everyone, and then the older ones leave, and then it's basically junior high dance from that point on.
Sure.
Saturday night is just a senior high at a school, and there were about 300 kids at that particular one in their commons area. And we did the black light. It was a UV dance for homecoming.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. The glow parties or whatever they call them.
Yeah, precisely. So I had all of my ADJ different UV lights all around the room, and it made some fantastic. The kids had some great time with that, and we'll get to that in a bit. But the song that was requested, and it was requested in both dances, and it was requested by some of the older girls. And I'm scratching my head, and that's why I wanted to bring this up and find out if someone has a suggestion of why this song was hot.
Yeah.
Fergalicious.
Wow.
Of all the songs,
cool.
and I mean, I had the kids were doing they scream and shout and woo, as you were putting. But Fergalicious, when that hit, was probably the biggest reaction at both schools, and I'm kind of at a why Fergalicious wasn't big when it came out, when it came through the first time.
I did really well with Fergalicious when it came out. I did really well with it.
Yeah, I just
but yeah, to have that one as the song, it happens sometimes though. You never know. Maybe they're doing a cheer routine to it or something.
Well, and I thought that if it would have been just one school, but when it's two and there's completely different types of school, one was more closer to the city, so it's kind of got more of an urban feel to their musical taste, much more in the rap and such. The other school was north of us, it would be north central Minnesota, that had somewhat more of a rock country feel is what you would. I mean, there have been times I've had 25 country requests at that school.
Sure.
And here, Day and Night had that. Fergie was requested for them too.
You know what it is sometimes? Oh, last year, what the hell was it? It was just out of nowhere. What's that song everybody wanted to hear? I don't remember what the hell it was. Oh, I remember now. They kept asking for the Running Man. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And come to find out, it's this viral video where they're playing My Boo by Ghost Town DJs. And it's the Running Man challenge. And I still don't understand what the hell that was. But that's why it was hot. And I didn't find out until much later that that's really what they were asking for. And that's why they were asking for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one was a head scratcher too.
Yeah, My Boo Ghost Town DJs out of nowhere. It's like, I remember the tune, I thought it was kind of cool when it came out, but it was like, really? Wow.
It didn't do a thing. And, that was surreal.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it, I had it, but I just couldn't understand why everyone wanted it all of a sudden, especially why everybody from 18 to 30 wanted it. I didn't understand. But yeah, that was why. So sometimes it's just something viral and we don't know why it is. Yeah. But it could be worse. I mean, Fergalicious isn't bad. In fact, the reception at my wedding, everybody was on the young side. I don't think anybody, I don't think the bride and groom were any older than 25. And most of the music I played was from 6-7 years ago. It was, or even longer, maybe almost 10 years ago. A lot of Pitbull. It was almost an evening with Pitbull for a while. Everything cool I could think of by Floretta, all that 130 BPM stuff. You know, it was a lot of that. That got a really good reaction.
Speaking of Pitbull, we'll go there. Because I actually, one song that I had never really played until we started having these conversations in the chat room and such when talking Pitbull songs, I never played Fireball.
Oh,
I just it just wasn't on my radar. There were other songs and I would play those. So that's been something that I've worked into the rotation because of our chats and things. And it's interesting. Fireball did not get airplay in our area virtually at all. For some reason, it just never, the local radio stations, it didn't hit, and it really didn't do much. But yet, that has had some really great response from the dance floor in both cases. Yeah. Of the Pitbull songs that were played, that I would say had the most positive response from this past week.
Yeah, that's usually what I get too. That one does really well for me, and I haven't played Gaiocho. I haven't played that forever.
Oh yeah.
What was the other? I like to play Don't Stop the Party, that one I like to play. But Fireball, yeah, people ask for that. And I don't know. Yeah, like you say, it wasn't his biggest one. For a while, everybody wanted to hear Timber, but nobody asked for Timber anymore. I'll put Fireball everywhere where I used to feel like I had to play Timber, and it seems to work real well. And
Timber was still had a couple of shout outs for that one.
There's something about that B section in Fireball. Dun, 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 dun. It's very Latin sounding.
Very much so.
And what I have noticed when I play it at wedding receptions is that, like, grandma's digging it. Grandma's out there really enjoying it. It's disco, it's Latin, she's having fun. I'm talking about white grandma.
Yeah.
She's digging this, which is cool. I don't know if she's ever heard it before, but she really likes the beat. It's just one of those tunes.
And you mentioned kind of the Latin feel to the music, and that's another thing that, first off, when I'm prepping for it, I went through and just did a quick check of the top 50, went through and listened to the songs, and then I went to the top 20 that Nick Hahn puts together every week for promo only, which is if you get Pool, you got to go and check in the specialties folder. There's a secondary folder you can go check, and they put together the top 20. And in that folder is the songs that he has in that top, and you can just download the folder, so you basically have the top songs right there.
Right.
But you listen to those, and you're hearing such a strong Latin influence in 2/3 of those songs now, that it's I shouldn't say it's surprising because of the especially in our area, the growth of the Latin population, but the number that were there in the charts. And the way that the crowd was responding to them. And the one school is a very white school. And yet the kids, doesn't matter. They were there and enjoying that feel. And then
what else is there? I mean, you got to look at the offerings. Because I know I had this conversation with somebody the other day talking about Despacito, right? And they're talking about how sick of the song. That I hate the song. I don't enjoy playing Despacito either. But what other offerings are really out there that are new-ish, popular, and danceable?
Yeah.
It's all this Latin flavor stuff.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. It's not, this, what are they calling it, mumble rap now? This isn't it. I mean, they might ask for it, but they're not going to dance to it. They may want to hear it, but it's not a floor filler. Your floor filler is all this stuff with the Latin beat, because that's what's hot. And, the Latin thing is so hot that I went ahead and decided to get a Latin of my own. So I picked one up, about 14 years ago. Lives in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Cooks once in a while. Cleans really well.
Yeah, decorates for Halloween.
Decorates for Halloween. And says things like, "Oh, you're so stupid." Stupid.
That's the motivational side.
Yeah, and ay, cabrón. But yeah, it's funny. But no, there's few options out there.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really a great thing that's hot right now. And when you do like the Latino parties, it goes, of course, deeper. It depends on who you're playing to. You're playing to Mexican crowds. You're playing to, South American crowds. You're playing to Caribbean crowds. Are you playing to people from, maybe there's like Miami Latinos. They're special. They're not really Cuban. They're not really Puerto Rican. They're Floridians. They got their own thing going on. So it's a lot of fun. And it's funny because I was talking to a pal of mine last week. We were sitting on the porch, and he's a black guy, and and I've noticed this myself, and it was cool that he noticed it too. It means that I can talk about it. So typically, what happens is like black parties. Sometimes you don't get a lot of dancing. The weddings are over early. They had fun, but they want to dance to a few songs and they want to move on. Either go to the club or we got to get up for church in the morning. And you get a lot of that with some of the Caucasian crowds too, but usually they stick around a little longer. The Latin crowds, you can't get rid of these people. As long as you're playing something that's right for beat, they don't even have to know the song. They are going to dance all night long. Those are the dancers. Latins are dancers. Period. Culturally, these people dance.
Yeah, definitely dance.
I say more so than any other culture that I'm aware of, that I've had an audience played to.
And that's actually an interesting point because some of my local schools have a high percent of Hispanic students in the school. The schools are struggling having dances. One particular school has probably about a 30% population, maybe 35%. And they've actually gotten to the point now where they're not doing some dances at the school. They don't do homecoming dance. Yeah. And it's really not so much of the kids causing trouble, which is back when I was teaching at that school. We had issues because we'd have a dance and the kids would go and they would toilet paper every house within a mile of the school. That was just what they would do. And we'd try to police it and you go, yeah. But they're having problems because the Latin or the kids that are more Hispanic won't go to the dances. Why? Because they have pretty much a Friday and Saturday event that goes on at this local restaurant where they have a band playing in there, or they're doing this, and they're whenever there's a wedding, the whole community is there. Whenever there's a backyard party, their whole community is there, and they're dancing and they're enjoying, and they're all involved. Talking to the local VFW gal, she says that as soon as the band starts, the tables in this VFW, when I'm doing a wedding, they take out the first 4 or 6 tables, and that's because that's what we do. When they have a Hispanic crowd, and if the band's going to start at 8 o'clock, they've got to have all the tables out of there because they will be dancing everywhere. They'll be up on the tables, they'll be dancing in the chairs, they'll be dancing, and it's because the room is just so
having fun,
packed, and they're having a great time.
You've met my friend Art through the broadcast, Art Ibarra. The hall that he does a lot of work in is called Serb Hall. It's actually Serbian, but it's a really popular hall for Latin events, and he does most of the quinceañeras that he does are at Serb Hall. He does them everywhere, but Serb Hall is a big one. And the reason Serb Hall is such a popular place to do quinceañeras is because it has a capacity of 1,048 in one hall. Wow. 1,048, and it's booked all the time, and it's Latin events, primarily the quinceañera. Because there aren't many places around here that'll hold those kind of, that sheer amount of people. Yeah. And yeah, it's a Latin thing. It's a Latin world, man. This is a Latin country now.
Yeah, very much so.
And I'm down because the music's great, food's great, and I love the culture. It's fantastic.
Vince mentioned here on the Facebook chat about having DJ Bar on. We're actually going to be doing that later this year. We're going to have DJ Bar on a show. But to give you guys a teaser for next summer, and I know that's a long ways out, DJ Bar and I are actually going to be teaming up and doing a show together. We're going to be bringing him in to do a Minnesota, and it's actually going to be in that community that I was just referring to, that we're going to be doing a night where I'm going to be playing I'm going to be his opening act, and I'll be playing for about the first hour, and then the crowd will switch over, and it will be, so I think there's a comedian, and then myself, and then DJ Bar is going to wrap up our evening. So that's going to be an event that's going to be heavily streamed and heavily publicized, because we're going to want to really go all out and show off a lot of cool things and such, and try to get, I want to see if I can talk to Mike Dussault from Evie and run a big ETX system there, because we will probably have, because the last time they had a specific entertainment for the population, it had well over 2,000 people that showed up for that, because again, they show. So just and again, that's happening next June. It's a long way off, but I just want to do
it's a bit, bit off there,
but it'll be a lot of fun.
Right on.
Yeah, the mixing of music. I actually, one of the Christmas parties I will be doing in January. Last year was the first time that a lot of the Latin music folks showed up. The people who are wanting to have the salsa and merengue and different things. Typically, they didn't go to this holiday party, but now they came and they were there. So it was a basically playing to the left side of the room to the right side of the room type of thing. But that idea that you play the song from beginning to end, I didn't do any of the mixing, because I did one where I kind of mixed the beats and went from, so the phrasing of the song to the phrasing of the song, mixed it on, and everything I thought was like, oh, that came out really well. And the guy's like, yeah, no, we don't like it that way. Can you just play it all the way to the end?
There's this, the salsa especially, because it's, I would compare salsa dancing to more like ballroom dancing.
Okay.
And when there's a song that a salsa song that you've danced to it before, you're very familiar with it. And I used to be a salsa dancer. You know how it ends. And you know how when things are done, it's like, ta-da, right? Mm-hmm. If you mix out early, you screw somebody else. You screw them all up, man. It's like, why'd you do that? Yeah, you want that bum bum ba-da-da right at the end, because that's the ta-da.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're taking a big...
But, yeah.
Taking a big finish away.
You do. Yeah.
Fun. So, yeah.
How you do?
So yeah, that was interesting. Another angle that was for the Friday night event, again, the smaller town, is last year I was I think I was just starting with virtual DJ. I was a real rookie. I hadn't practiced much with it, and it was there. It really wasn't much different than what I was using when I was playing basically with Megaseg or like a Winamp type, fade in, fade out. I wasn't able to do much with it. This past summer, I spent hours practicing setting songs up, cue points, and getting loops, and a cue point so I could loop from there, and then I can mix and drop this in over that. So a lot of what I did Friday was mixing and doing quick mixes of songs back and forth. The kids, of course, were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool!" They hadn't experienced anything like that, so that was really kind of cool. Then, because of that, then I get a call, an email Monday morning saying, "Hey, can you do our prom?" It's like, "Oh, cool! I could certainly do your prom. Can you do it for the same price you did homecoming?" No. It's a Saturday in April. One of the biggest prom weekends of the year. Last year, I ended up having to turn a couple of weddings away that were huge dollar weddings from past clients, repeat clients. No, I can't. So then the same idea of the mixing. The next school, Saturday school, I actually did their prom last spring. And by that time, I was starting to have a level of proficiency with mixing, and I was able to do a few mixes where we did that set where you basically are in at 120, 126 to 130, and you stayed there for about 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
So the kids after prom of last year, the kids from prom, they met up with the advisor, the homecoming advisor, when school started. And they're like, "Hey, whatever you do, you've got to hire the prom DJ. He's got to come and do homecoming." Well, of course, the homecoming advisor, she knew that I had done both of them. So she was laughing when she's telling me this. She goes, "Yeah, so last year, the homecoming, they thought you were good. For the prom, they thought you were great. What changed?" It's like, well, it's mixing skills. Basically having an idea of, John doesn't scratch unless it itches, but it's that mixing of the music and keeping things going, and there are times for the slam mix, times for the beat mix, time for an overlay of one song with the other. It is thankfully going over well, because when I tried to do this a few years back and such, it didn't work. Not only was it because my skill level wasn't there, but even when I had it and it did work, technically worked, the crowd just didn't respond to it as well. Now they do, so it's yay.
Well, once you've worked with a group more than once too, you really have more of an idea of how to play to them.
Oh, for sure, that helps.
But then you got to think about you're starting all over again, because you got a brand new group of kids in there.
And I want to surprise them too, as we've talked about. We want to take them on a journey, but I want to have some surprises in there where they'll be like, "Oh, that's that song," and they scream and they shout.
Yeah.
When
you gotta keep it fresh. You won't do the same show every time, but yeah, you got a new group in. You got to fill them out. Of course, they're only going to be like a third, but it's going to be a new group. You have to play too. I don't do many schools. I just did a video on that. Few, but not many.
And there's times like, last week at this time, as we came back from Vegas and such. Well, I guess it was Wednesday. It's like, I'm getting in my late 40s. I'm to the point now where some of these kids that are teenagers, I taught their parents in school.
Right.
It's like, it's probably time for me to hang it up. Well, then you go and you have a couple of really good dances, and the kids just love what you do. And then they're like, "Oh, we got to have you for prom." And so it's like, well, maybe I'm not completely washed up.
No, it's just a matter of comfort level. And I think if I lived where you live, I would be a lot more comfortable doing events like that.
Yeah.
I live in a city.
Yeah, and that's
a major city.
Definitely different.
And there's I've mentioned it before. There's a school in the northern suburbs of Milwaukee that I would do every week. I love those kids, and they're musically, I feel like that they're so ahead of the curve. They're just into stuff that the typical kid their age isn't into, and they're so much fun to play for. And I just really enjoy playing for this group of kids. But if you ask me to do the closest high school to my house, no, I'm not doing that. No way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any fun. They wouldn't have any fun. No. But the school way out in the middle of nowhere, I would do fine with it. And the other disclaimer I'll lay out there for my, I'm talking to high school primarily, and even junior high. When I was in high school, I didn't understand my fellow classmates' tastes in music. And I didn't enjoy the dances.
Yeah.
Because the DJ was playing a very good mix for everyone else. I was going to the clubs that I wasn't supposed to be going to. That's where I was. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to very different music. And I was into very different things. So even as a teenager, I didn't get teen dances. So maybe they're just not for me. If I didn't get them as a teenager, why would I get them now at my age?
Well, and thinking back to when I was the kid in the crowd, I was asked, the requests I would go up with were the ones that, as a DJ, this is a dance. This isn't that type of event where you would play David Bowie, a secondary song from David Bowie. I remember that as a request. And I was really kind of put out that the DJ didn't play it. It's like, it's a good song. Well, obviously he knew more than I did.
Right.
So that was a big change for me from my personal music taste that I had. Because, we talked about some of my personal favorites from that 80s time frame that I grew up with. They weren't dance things that made money. That was one of the quickest things I had to learn in the late 80s and early 90s, is that there's the songs that I like, and then there's the songs that make me money. And
I remember at my prom, I was there, and I had DJed before. And I wasn't trying to ruin anybody's time, but I didn't want to be at prom. I kind of got bullied into going, so I went. And I don't want to dance any of this stuff. It was like Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses and Whitesnake, and it was just rock,
Yeah.
And everybody in the school that I went to was out there, and I just not feeling it at all. And I walked up to the DJ and I looked at him and I said, could you play something maybe a little more? And he finished my sentence. He said, funky? I said, yeah. Yeah. And he did. I don't even remember what he played. Anyway, that guy owned a DJ company and hired me that night to go do parties.
Sure.
That kind of got me started in this whole thing. It was the same night that happened. But he finished my sentence. He knew. He's like, this is a rock and roll school. And I remember them asking me, hey, do you want to do the homecoming for your school or your prom for your school? Because, we met you there. And I said, hell no, I'm not doing that. I didn't want to be at that one. I don't want to be at this one either. I'll go do some other wedding or prom or something. Not my school. And I remember the report back. I said, it's really weird because when we met you, it was a rock and roll prom. So, but this year, it was all hip hop. It changed like that fast.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to hear all like rap and hip hop the next year.
Yeah,
which they thought was pretty odd.
It's interesting how the groups change when it comes to high school like that.
Yeah, it's like quick,
very
change.
quickly. And there's times where it's like, yeah. Or as an example, last year I did that school. I did their homecoming, snow days, and prom. Well, I ended up having 3 really different groups. Homecoming and snow days were probably the closest to the same, but homecoming was really dominated by young ladies. The volleyball players, the volleyball team, you're probably 2-to-1 gals at that one. The snow days was kind of a 50-50, and you've got the variety from sophomore on up, so you're getting more guys there. Then you get to prom, and you basically junior and seniors.
Yeah.
And you've got, so it's really 3 different crew with your groups of people. And trying to, okay, I know that this worked at one, but what is going to work here? And just the way things go with proms or with dances. Yeah. Somebody asked earlier, somebody about that I've been DJing for a day and night was asking if I DJed for 20 years and I finally learned how to mix. Because of... First off, unfortunately, I'm on my 31st year, so that makes me even older. Thank you for that. Secondly, is it was a different type of mixing. Slam mixes were part of it. The fade in, fade out, and really, trying to find that point of where to drop a song in. Now, the big difference what I've achieved with Virtual DJ is that now I can control the pitch of the song or the tempo, the beat per minute and such to get those synced up. And I've really been, after conversations with MJ, is really paying attention to the phrasing of the song. So I know that, okay, so we've got the 16 beats and I want to change on a 16 beat segment. So I'm getting to the 4, 2, 3, 4, and then you're coming in with a new phrase starting and hitting that. That's probably the biggest difference in such of what I'm doing is really paying attention to the phrasing of a song and where I'm dropping that. And it's made a big difference. So
there's a comment here from Jazzy Lamel, perhaps? Lamel. And he's saying that, a true DJ should be able to DJ any event. Doesn't matter what type of music or vibe the client is into. You should be able to come in, select the music that they want to hear, and jam out with it. I will say this to that comment. Sure. Yeah. If you want to try to be everything to everybody, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
I believe that. But if you really want to, I guess, perhaps specialize in something, or if you want to have really strong karate in one area and maybe not another, it's not always going to be the case. You can never be really great and be everything to everybody. I don't believe you can. If you can, you're a better DJ than me.
Yeah, I don't think
I bow to you.
Yeah.
But it comes a point where, in any profession that you're in, a mechanic, you have a fantastic mechanic, he works on Chevys and Fords. He doesn't know anything about Porsches. He doesn't work on Porsches, but he's really good at working on Chevys and Fords. It's kind of like a DJ. I feel that it's you need to have sometimes that specialty. And that expertise in one particular area, or maybe many areas, but not all areas. How's that sound?
Yeah.
You're never going to be everything to everybody. Can I DJ any event? I suppose I probably could, technically, yeah, I could go in there and I could play music and make it happen, I guess. Am I going to enjoy DJing at every event? Am I going to be the best choice for the client at every event?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe so. Am I going to be the best choice for maybe some other kind of client for an event? Yeah, I think so. I and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but yeah, I think I can do a better job at certain events than better than anybody else.
Right.
But not every event. I'm not every DJ for every event. And not mediocre. Yeah, fine. I could be a mediocre DJ, but anywhere you want me to be. But a great DJ and a great experience at every event, no.
No, it doesn't happen. That's why specializing and finding your niche and really staying within that. And that's
when I was young, I really wanted to do as many parties as possible, experience as many different types of events as possible. And I learned a lot that way. But I also learned, what I liked and what I didn't like. And what I was good at, what I wasn't good at. And now I am, I guess, big enough to say, yeah, maybe this high school isn't for me. Maybe this isn't my best fit. Maybe this isn't the best choice for the client. There could be somebody else out there that could do a better job than me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's a wedding going on somewhere. I should be there. That's where I should be.
Yeah.
And that's who I should be playing for.
That's for sure.
I just a little rant there.
And that's, I think that's a one part of maturity as we've grown and such. So when we were young, we're going to be like, yeah.
Well, let's figure this out.
I'm the greatest.
You're what? You're 32?
Me?
Yeah. What'd you say?
I've been doing this for 31 years.
31 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm at 33. So collectively, we have 64 years of DJ experience. And from the 64 years of DJ experience in front of you right here, will tell you, you can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
Not if you want to be great.
Yeah.
You could be okay. It's kind of like top 40 music, you listen to the radio. When's the last time you heard a song on the radio that you loved? Oh my God, I love the song. You don't hear songs you love. You hear songs that you can deal with, or you don't hate so much that you'll change the channel. That's the difference. It's a mass appeal thing. And there's nothing wrong with mass appeal, but mass appeal is never fantastic. Mass appeal is like, okay, yeah, we can deal with that. That's how I see it.
Very
for
much
whatever that's worth.
Well, Brian, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you for watching.
I got to talk about something before you do.
Oh, okay. So we'll wrap that and then we'll be there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.
I'm very sorry.
On all the different channels tonight. We've got people on Facebook and YouTube and out on Chew. Great stuff.
Before we wrap the show,
what's our final thoughts?
I just had a question for you.
Deep thoughts.
Do you own any Clover albums?
Clover, no.
You don't own any Clover albums?
No.
Do you have any Clover songs in your arsenal?
I don't
know. Clover?
I'm not sure.
You know why I asked this question, John?
I do not know, but now I bet you're going to tell me.
Because, okay, you are my friend, and I think a lot of you. And when I have friends like you, John, I want to learn more about you, and I want to understand you, even more than I do. So I took it upon myself last night, because I couldn't sleep, to watch a Huey Lewis in the News documentary.
Okay.
And Huey Lewis's first band from about 71 to 79 was called Clover.
Oh, yes.
And there are albums out there.
Yep.
And he's singing on them. And I was just thinking, man, if anybody that I knew owned an album or has some songs by the band Clover, it would be my friend John Young.
Yeah, no, I don't. I have everything else he's ever done as Huey Lewis in the News, but I don't have any.
You need to get some Clover.
Yeah, no.
Just to have it. And I know that you're really into the sports album. I know you like that and you like 4 and all that.
Yep.
But just to kind of go back, And it's funny to see Huey Lewis with like long sideburns, long hair, and a mustache in these bands on these album covers. You can see the cleft chin. It's like, yeah, it's Huey. But it's hard to tell at first because he just looks like a dude,
Yep.
Looks like he could be in, the band Silver, who did Wham Bam Shang-a-Lang. It just takes a second to see him through all the hair. But I was just thinking about you, and I watched that Huey Lewis documentary, and I thought, I'm going to ask John.
I got to watch this documentary.
By the band Clover.
I gotta find out what that was. I got to watch that.
It's VH1 Behind the Music.
That'll have to check out.
On YouTube. So just enjoy it. It's like 45 minutes long. It gives you a nice breakdown. Talk about Huey's early life, where he's from, the prep school he went to, the and kind of what motivates him. And I really enjoyed that part of it. It was mostly about Huey, less about the news, but he seems like a good guy is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So you've picked a good guy to like call your favorite.
There we are. Now I've got more research for next week. So
yeah.
Good. Well, thank you guys for being with us tonight. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern, MJ is going to be talking 90s music a little bit. And then at 10 o'clock, we've got Jeremy and Dave coming to you. So you'll be able to check those out on DJNTV. You'll know where the links are and such. We'll get those up tomorrow. So, Brian, thank you much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.